Welcome back, Fisher people, to another fly tying video from Broken Water Outfitters. Today I'm going to show you how to tie our caliber streamer pattern. Developed this streamer pattern a few years ago when I was looking for something I could stall with the right movement. I also wanted something that was going to keep its profile in the water. I really use this thing in the wintertime and in the fall when I'm out head hunting, looking for those bigger fish, targeting a lot of water, and maybe only getting one or two opportunities a day. It's a little more complicated of a tie. It can take a little bit of getting used to. First time you tie it, it may not come out just right unless you're used to working with a lot of EP fiber and synthetics. It certainly takes a little bit of practice and familiarity with the materials to get them to lay how you would like. Hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Appreciate everybody out there who's liking, subscribing, and sharing. Enough of me rambling on. Let me show you this pattern.
Start out, we're going to be using a size 6 MFC 7052 vertical eye streamer hook. Articulated patterns, the vertical eye makes it a lot easier when tying in that back section. Start out with some 100 denier Vivus GSP thread. It'll be a little slippery, so make sure you're applying good tension and you have it secured well to the hook before snipping off your tag end. We're going to work that all the way back to the bend of the hook. And then we're going to get ready to tie in our tail. First section of our tail is going to be sand colored strung marabou. It's a good idea to wet the marabou before you tie it in. It makes it a lot easier to handle. Secure that well and then work forward. I try to tie these materials in for the tail, cant it off to the side of the hook a little bit just to build a wider profile. Remember, when we're tying, we always want to create tapers when we add materials. So get that tied in, go ahead and snip it off. Now we're going to put in our second color of marabou, which is going to be a yellow olive in this color scheme we're going with. This tail should be about a hook shank in length. If you're going to air a little bit long. Same thing, tie that in right on top of the first piece. You can see kind of got this canted off to the side of the hook. Again, trying to reduce a vertical bulk and get it more horizontal. Snip it off close. Once we get this all secured and covered up, now we're going to come in and we're going to add our polar flash. And take 4 strands of polar flash, wrap it around your thread as such, tie it at the midpoint. You're going to pull half that clump and tie it in on the near side, and then tie the other section in on the far side, keeping them separated. Make sure they're secured well. We don't want them pulling out when we're catching fish on this thing. Then we're going to come back in with another piece of sand colored marabou. We're going to stack that on top. Good solid pressure with your thread. And again, tie that in, canting down the side of the hook, building a more horizontal bulk as opposed to vertical. Sometimes if you twist marabou up, you can get a nice clean cut that's nice and close, as you can see here. Also a good idea not to use your good scissors. Maybe have a pair of scissors that are a little beat up when you're cutting off marabou. It'll really dull them fast. Come in, trim your polar flash just long of the tail itself. Do that, then we're ready to tie in our tan, size small Palmer chenille. This is going to be what adds the flash to our pattern, and you'll see as we put this together, kind of focuses that flash all on the lower side of the fly with just a little bit sticking through the EP fiber on top. You're going to rotate that around the hook. You're going to have to force those fibers back with your fingers. We don't want to be wrapping over them. We want them standing up and swept back. Sometimes this material cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. It can be a little bit frustrating. Once you get that wrapped in, go ahead and take 2 thread wraps over the material, then pull it back, take a couple wraps in front before coming in with your scissors and snipping it off close. We're going to bring our EP fiber in now. Here we're using golden olive, tan, and black. You're going to cut those in 1-inch long sections, and each strip of material is going to be about a 1/2 inch wide when you're pulling it off of the hank. You're going to tie it in at the center point, take 2 good wraps over it. You're going to kind of force those fibers to slide down around the side of the hook shank, but not all the way underneath. We want them on the top half of the fly. Work those fibers backwards before taking a few wraps in front and pulling tight to secure the whole thing. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to tie in our Palmer chenille and take a few wraps with that. Same thing, forcing it backwards and then securing it off again. We're just going to repeat this whole thing until we get all the way to the eye of the hook, and we're going to finish with a clump of EP fiber. Let's speed the video up here so you don't have to watch this for 14 hours while we finish this. A couple things with this pattern. If you take those stacks and you have the black on the outside, you'll get a more mottled look to the top of your fly. The way we're doing it here, where the black is touching when we fold it back, gives us a very distinct barred look on the top of our fly. Play around with it. You can obviously change the colors to whatever it is you want to match the forage and bait fish on the streams that you're fishing. I've had a lot of fun with this pattern since I developed it. First time I took it out to test it, kind of a nice winter day. Walked about 2 miles, wanted to hit a specific area. First 5 casts, I had 2 fish and 2 chases. You want that last clump to be right up on the eye and force those thread wraps back over the eye in front of the clump, kind of forming a little bit of a dam just to force the material up. Come in with our trusty bodkin with the half hitch tool. Give it a couple half hitches. Roll the fly over, snip your thread off, come in and give it just a little bit of a dab with some super glue. Be careful. Don't use too much, it'll get into the materials. We don't want that. We want to maintain the movement we build into this thing. Take your favorite comb or little Velcro tool you might have made. Give it a quick fluff here before you take it out of the vise to let the glue dry while you're working on the front half of this fly. I find it's been easier to fluff this back section up now as opposed to when we have it all connected. You can even trim the back section now if you want, but I prefer to wait until the fly is all together so we can get the right tapers. Front half of this fly is going to be built on an MFC 7050 size 4 straight eye wide gap streamer hook. Frequently I pair size 4 front hook with a size 6 back hook on my articulated streamers. Just a good ratio. Starting out here with 210 denier Danville thread. A little drop of super glue after we get it started, just to give us a little bit of a sticky spot for our eyes to sit. Here I'm using the hairline ball eyes. These eyes are very, very rounded. No real corners on them. Kind of a cool look. Start by putting some crossing wraps over them. And then you're going to make figure eights over top of the eyes. And then come in with a couple securing wraps where we're going to wrap around the eyes. Kind of like posting up a parachute. You can see I'm putting plenty of tension on this thread. This is why I like this Danville 210 denier for starting my eyes. See how much that hook shank bends around, but remember the whip finish or half hitch, whatever you choose here. Go ahead, we're done with that thread. Now we're going to tie back in with our Beavis 100 denier GSP. Work that back the shank to just the start of the bend of the hook. Then we're going to have to tie in our articulation here. I like to use beadle on wire, the 19 strand in black. And then an articulation bead, or 3D articulation bead that matches whatever colors I've chosen for the fly. I stick that wire through, and then I slide the bead over once I've got it divided in half. Make sure you don't have these wires crossed. Take a couple thread wraps over, getting it on top of the shank. Don't tighten it down just yet. We need to kind of slide it around and make sure we got our spacing correct. We're going to want to pull that up to where that bead is almost touching, but has a little bit of daylight to the bend of that hook. Once we've got it where we want it, we're going to take wraps the thread up to behind the eyes, keeping that wire on top of the hook shank. I'd tie it in a little bit differently than probably you've seen other people do. Pull that wire down around the eyes and straight up, take a couple wraps, and then I work that wire back along the original tie-in point for the wire, about halfway. Just builds a nice taper. It's very, very secure. Do the same thing with the other side. Go ahead and pull those wires up. Remember the set of flush cutters. Don't dull your scissors. Buy a set of these. Clip it off. Cover everything up nicely with thread wraps. And then we're going to go back over the eyes with some figure eights and some posting wraps to secure everything in around there. Those eyes are not going to move with the way we've tied them in and that wire going around them. And we're not going to have to worry about the articulation breaking or failing. Now we're going to start this section by coming in with a clump of EP fibers. We're going to tie them in right on top of where we attached that wire at the very back of the hook. Once we get to this front section here, we really want to make sure that we spread those fibers out so that they're covering the sides of the hook shank. So we're starting to build that front bulk, that profile into the fly. Take your time to work this material where you need it. It will cover that gap between the two hooks nicely, and it all kind of just forms into one. So you got that secured. On the front half, we're going to use a medium-sized Palmer chenille in the same color as the back. I'm going to tie this in the same way we did before. Lash it into the hook. wrap it around, force everything back, secure it off, and we're going to proceed all the way up to the front of the eyes, continuing that same pattern. A lot of people get intimidated by streamer patterns. It can be a great way to test and or develop your fly tying skills. It can be a lot of fun. You can be very, very creative. You might find yourself throwing one of these during the middle of a hatch, picking off big fish while everybody else is throwing tiny bugs. It can be a lot of fun. Again, we're going to increase the speed so this video doesn't take 14 hours. I'm sure everybody out there probably has a job to help support this habit of fly fishing. In total, this pattern and the variation that we're tying here today is right around 3 inches in length. So it's not a massive streamer. A little bit on the smaller side of today's standards. I've played around with a couple variations of this pattern. Some of them I put silly legs on there. Other ones I tried to use some feathers to kind of look like pectoral fins. They didn't seem to make any difference, and if anything, I think they kind of detracted from some of the motion of the fly. So we refined it and kind of settled back on this. Think about it. I guess it's sort of a basic pattern. You're really only using a couple materials. It is a little bit in the realm of the Sculptifly. As you can tell, we're going to come in here and we're going to trim this to whatever shape and profile it is we want. The water resistance of the EP fibers keep this thing from absorbing a lot of water, and it sheds it quickly. So you can really count on kind of the same buoyancy with this fly throughout the day as you're fishing it. If you've got your spacing right, that last clump will land right behind the eyes when you tie it in. Kind of the same way you did up the hook shank, really allow this one to work down in to the sides, keeping it from going underneath the hook. After you've got that tied in, give another couple crossing wraps there. It won't hurt anything. Now we're going to invert it, and we're going to put in this little cover on the bottom. Here we use some Sculp and Stacker dubbing from Folding Mill in ginger and pearl. Blended it together to match our colors. I'm going to tie that in just in front of the eyes. Secure it, pull it back, give a couple tight wraps in front of it. We still have one more clump of EP fiber to put on this thing, finish off the head. This last clump of EP fiber we're going to put in here, it should be about 1/3 bigger than the other clumps you used. Take your time, get it situated. Couple good strong wraps. Bind it down tight. And then no securing wraps just behind the eye in front of it once you get it forced back. Come in with our trusty old half-hitch bodkin. Put a couple knots on there to finish it off. Rolled over, clip off your thread, come in with just a small amount of super glue onto that thread, making sure it doesn't absorb into our materials. Come in, give it a good brush, make sure everything's in place, loosen any fibers that might be trapped. I like to brush everything backwards and then fluff it up forwards. We're gonna tie patterns like this. It's a good idea to invest in some scissors that are designed for cutting EP fiber and other synthetic materials so that the blades are a little more durable. I start with a long bladed scissor to get that rough profile cut in all the way back on both sections. And then kind of round things over. Remember, we're not looking to create 90-degree angles, so we want to soften those edges. Once I'm done with those scissors, I'll switch to a smaller pair of scissors, a little more precise, to work on each of the sections and smoothing everything out. And you can trim this profile however you want. Here, this one definitely kind of has more of a heavy front end with a gentle taper to the back. This fly will definitely push some water and it maintains that profile. This material does not slick down much when it's in the water and wet. Take your time when you're trimming this. If you cut too much, it's going to be hard to bring it back. You see that nice barring we created with the way we stacked the fibers in the different colors. That Palmer chenille gives us a nice, flashy, soft-colored belly. That's the caliber fly pattern. Tie some up, let us know what you think. And always, get out there, get after it, and hunt the water.